Doesn't matter. Hello, everybody. Brian Tonsoni with Delphi Bracketology, here to discuss our most recent bracket. If you're interested in seeing our bracket on paper, you can go to @Delphi Brackets. There's a picture of our Google spreadsheet that we use to announce our bracket, and you can take a look at that. If I get any viewers here, this is brand new, so I don't expect too many, but if I get viewers, I believe we have hopefully the ability to see some questions and answers. If you have a question, you can type it in, and I'll try to answer that as long as I'm on here for the 10 or 15 minutes to explain the bracket. Thank you for listening. If you're not listening to it live, maybe you'll have the chance to get a copy of it on our YouTube channel or my personal YouTube channel. So here we go, explaining our bracket. When I last spoke to you last week, we talked about some of the bracket procedures, the grouping of teams in basically 1 through 5 seeds, 6 through 9 seeds. We've had a lot of different things happen in the last 2 weeks, which made seeding, to me, very difficult. Just spoke with a seasoned bracketology through Twitter tonight, and I learned a few things about a few teams and about how we should look a little more deeper into the schedules of the teams, especially in the 6, 7, and 8 range. But at Bracket Guy Dave, who does this for a living, has done this for several years, and I've also emailed back and forth with my favorite bracketologist, Andy Bottoms. So we're learning a little bit, and there's some issues with our brackets. But basically, we saw some teams lose that shouldn't lose, and some teams make a good run at building their resume. So let's talk here real quickly about what happened this week. We have basically 6 teams that probably could be number 1 seeds. And right now we have 2 Big East teams and 2 Big 12 teams. And I know that's probably not going to be the way it breaks down come NCAA tournament time. So probably North Carolina probably should be that 4th number 1 seed. We give it to Xavier at this time. Our number 1s are Oklahoma, Villanova, Kansas, and Xavier. Well-deserving resumes. North Carolina is close to getting in there. One could make a case for Iowa as well to be a number 1 seed. You have issues with Michigan State losing 2 games this week. How far do they drop? They fell off the number 1 seed. We moved them down to number 2. They probably deserve maybe a 3 or a 4, especially if they don't get things fixed. We also believe we have Oregon a little bit too high at a number 2. That's an area where we're going to meet Thursday and go a little bit deeper into our bracket to try to find out why the numbers add up for Oregon when a lot of other places have Oregon in the 4, 5, 6 range, and we have them at number 2. Some interesting things later on in the bracket. The toughest 2 teams for me are Florida and Texas. The resumes are not super strong, but they're not weak. They have some top 50 wins. But who are those top 50 wins against? We have both of those teams at 6s. In retrospect, after looking at Sunday, we probably need to move them down a little bit to maybe the 8, 9 range. Solidly in the tournament due to their power numbers and their stat numbers, but also some losses that have piled up. They're in the 6-loss range, both of those teams. So they have to continue on a good path. Always the toughest part that we're finding out is the bubble. What teams should stay in and what teams should fall out. And there are really thin margins right now for a lot of these teams. Clemson is on a great roll, beating Louisville, Duke, Miami. They're 12-6. Do they deserve to be in? We put them in based on their recent play. Florida State pulls off a win over Virginia. Should they go into the tournament? Some bracketologists have them in at the 11-12 range. We do not have Florida State in. That's the tricky part, that bubble. I still think, your teams 1 through 9 right now are pretty safe unless they have some really bad losses. But you have seen some movement. Shockingly, Duke and Kentucky are in the 5 seed range. Their resumes are fading, and the teams that they have beaten are not playing well. So this was a kind of a tough week after you get through the top 6 or 7 teams. Then you get down to the seed list 10, 9, 10, 11, and you have a lot of issues in in separating the teams. How far do you put a USC up? How far do you put Texas A&M up? We have Texas A&M, I think, as a 3 seed on our list here. Yeah, 3 seed. We have West Virginia as a 3 seed, possibly could be as high as a number 2 seed. We have Arizona, our 5 seeds, Purdue, Duke, Arizona. We still have Kentucky as a 4. A lot of places have them outside of the top 25. Tough issues with these power teams not having great seasons. For our Indiana followers and listeners, Purdue is the best team in Indiana right now at a number 5 seed. Really could move up ahead of Kentucky, maybe should have been ahead of Kentucky, but as you can see from my background, I have a hard time moving Purdue up. But they probably deserve to be a number 4 seed ahead of Kentucky. Notre Dame, with a nice win, moves up to a 7, a little more comfortable spot. They still have work to do to stay in that 7 range. Indiana, I have them as a 9. I really believe they're a 10 or 11. I don't think they've beaten anybody. Notre Dame beating Duke and moving up in the KenPom, moving up in the RPI really helps Indiana, but Ohio State is faltering. Wisconsin's win is a little boost for Indiana, but there have not been quality wins. And the nice thing, they're winning on the road, but they're winning on the road against teams that they should defeat. So Indiana's resume, as much as I hate to say it, is weak. I appreciate bracket guy Dave having them as a number 7 seed. I don't see that. I think they're a 9 or a 10. They have got to beat some good teams to move up into a more comfortable round. Butler is a tough team. I think I have Butler too low at a 9. Their losses have all come to pretty strong teams, and they have beaten some nice teams. They've lost to Miami. They've lost to Providence. They've lost to Villanova. So I think their losses are stronger losses. And so I think we'll be seeing Butler move up. Wichita State as a number 8 seed is a interesting team. They were without their star guard Van Vliet for a few games, and they've gone like 10-2 with him. So that they are sitting at an 8. I think that would be a tough number 8 seed for a number 1 seed if they were to get out. The Pac-12 is going to be interesting. Utah, Oregon State, UCLA. Those teams all are going to play each other and beat each other up. And where do you see them? I think you'll see a lot of teams from the Pac-12 in, but I think you'll see them anywhere from the 6 to the 11 range. And that's tough at that range to move forward. Again, I mentioned Texas and Florida. We have them too high probably this week. That's based on quick study of the power numbers. We're going to share Thursday with our group that we need to look at the quality of wins, not just the number of wins in the top 50. The quality of wins have Texas and Florida sitting at number 6s. Louisville, I think, might be a little too high, although their resume is not very strong either as far as who have you beaten. And for our Delphi Bracketology Club, we look at who have you beaten. Have you beaten quality opponents on the road? That's probably number 1. Then you go to strength of schedule, KenPom, and some of the other rankings. And I just think you have to show people, at least show us, our committee, that you can play people and beat people to get into the tournament, because you're going to have to win 5 or 6 to win it. I like that data. We stay away from the eye test, although there's probably something to the eye test. Velpo is also in the tournament. Velpo we have probably rated a little bit too low at a 10 seed. They're having an outstanding season. They have a high RPI, and correspondingly, they also have a high KenPom rating too. They will win their conference. That'll be interesting to see some bracket busters if a team like Velpo gets upset in their conference tournament, where you go. And another Indiana team, IPFW, is playing very good basketball right now in the Summit League. I believe they're part of the Summit League, and they should be able to have a good go in that tournament. Doubt an at-large berth, regardless of how well the regular season is. But currently now, I think they're in the bracket. So we had some movement on the 2-3 seed line. Even lost a number 1 with the new number 1. But there are 6 teams right now that I think are in contention. Then the Royal had a tough stretch in the top 20. And then you have some teams which are really hard in the 6, 7, 8, 9 range. You could argue one case they need to be higher, and on another case they need to be lower. And then you have those teams 10, 11, as we talked in the previous video, where one game can kick them out of the tournament. And a series of games can move Clemson from way outside the top 100 RPI into the top 80, and now people are looking at them as the bubble is going to be active this year, it looks like, and I know we're 6 weeks away. I think 6 weeks away, 7 weeks away from conference tournament time at the end of March. So there's still a lot of basketball, and it's probably way too early to really kind of set teams in stone one way or the other, especially with 12, 13 conference games yet to be played. So on television tonight, you got a Big Ten matchup. You have Purdue versus Rutgers. This is a game where Purdue will win. I believe I can't see the score. It's a little bit away from the podcast center. But this is a game Purdue will win, and you need to avoid these huge losses. Indiana has Illinois at home. Illinois always capable, but Indiana needs to win that kind of game to keep their resume going and then pull off some winners. So now's the time when it starts getting pretty serious for your teams. If you have any questions, tweet them at Delphi Brackets. Put this Monday night schedule. We'll try to do something between 6 and 8. We might also have a discussion with our Bracketology Club live here or on another source, Blab, possibly. So a lot of basketball coming your way if you're a basketball fan. We are relatively new in this, so be patient with us. If you don't see your team on the bracket, ask us why. If you think your team's too high or too low, let us know. If you have good quality questions, we'll take them via email or at Delphi Brackets, our Twitter page. We also have a website where this video will be stored and embedded, as will the brackets and some commentary on the brackets. So bookmark that. You can find that on our Twitter page, but it is Delphi Bracketology .weebly.com. And that is, again, you can see that if you go to our Twitter page. At Delphi Brackets is our Twitter page. At Sony42 is my Twitter handle. Love to talk sports. Love to talk college hoops. We have about 6-7 weeks here before the tournament, and it's getting real. Get your televisions going. Get your comments. I'll try to answer them through Twitter or on these discussions. Thank you for viewing. We'll see you later this week or next Monday. Thank you.